thank you for having us. Kenny Johnson, Deputy Mayor, City of Palm Bay, running for re-election for Palm Bay City Council seat 4. Been in office for 4 years. From Palm Bay, I say born and partly raised, because I come from a military background. So, you know, as an Army brat, you're moving every 3 years. So you see different households, different schools. But after my father retired, we moved back here in 2004, right before we got hit by those 4 hurricanes. We've been back here ever since. Left for college in 2009, came back in 2013, and been back ever since. Volunteering, getting engaged with the community, different nonprofits, churches, things of that nature. And then around 2016, 2017, started going to council meetings and just learning more about local government and what was going on. It wasn't until 2018 I ran for office against the incumbent, Mr. Trey Holton. And it was a 3-way run because it was Mr. Trey Holton and Mr. Thomas Gong. So we got Trey Holton out of the way, and then it was just me and Mr. Gong, and it went to the general election, of which I won. And ever since then, there's been a laundry list of things to try to both fix and complete in the city of Palm Bay. And I'm encouraged because a lot has been gotten done, and there still is much more to get done, but there's a lot that's been accomplished in the past 4 years. And so my thing is, you know, with the past 4 years of what we've been able to accomplish, imagine what more we can do in the next 4 years if we work together. One thing I pride myself on, while we may not always agree, and I've had conversations sometimes with people in this room, I'm willing to listen and willing to hear where you're coming from and see if we can come. You know, we all in this room want what's best for the city. It's just about how we get there. I said the same thing to the mayor, because there's times where we might conflict on issues, but it's just about getting there together and finding common ground. So without further ado, I'm ready for whatever questions you may have.
For questions? Okay.
Angela, we're gonna open it up to everybody else at the end, if we have time, okay?
I thought he asked for questions.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, he's talking to Linda.
Okay, all right, well,
Yeah.
after Miss Linda.
Yeah. I had sent out an email and got questions from the whole group, and we just compiled them on, so one person would ask you, so it wouldn't get confused.
Okay.
And then as we talk, if you
Now
have
later,
questions-
after these questions, if there's still
If there's
time, then we'll
time.
open the floor.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Can you explain to us what type of emergency services are available in case of an emergency other than a hurricane? And do we have a plan?
Emergency services. So right now, it's really just police, fire, and our public works that would, you know, actively engage when it comes to emergency services. There's been times, like just recently with the apartment fires, we did need the assistance of Brevard County firefighters, but luckily nobody was hurt or harmed or injured. So regarding emergency services, that's where if we do need the manpower, sheriff will send his guys down here to help and assist, as well as Brevard County.
Okay, cool. Okay, someone wanted to know, is the city of Palm Bay interested in the majors?
So discussions have happened with Miss Heather Joyner and staff, and I've even had conversations with her myself to try to see what we can do in regards to keeping the golf course. For the city to take the golf course, that I don't think that's really fiscally sound in that matter. Even had discussions of, you know, having her sell it to somebody else who wants to keep it a golf course, but that didn't get anywhere, so she just shut it down. But to answer the direct question, we've had conversations, but it's not very sound for the city to take it on.
So probably you wouldn't have majors here then.
Yeah. Well, I'm still hoping she'll sell it to somebody who wants to develop it as a golf course or keep it as a golf course, because there's been people who've shown interest, but it just doesn't meet the number criteria she's looking for.
Okay.
So they offer like 5 mil. She said she wanted like double digits. Yeah, like 10, 12, 14 million when she paid 2 million.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard she wanted 14, she paid 2.
She won't lease it?
I don't want to speak for her.
She never talked anything about leasing?
No, not leasing, just flat out either selling it, or the other conversation that was had was having HOAs pay a fee like $50 or $100. And she said if each HOA house paid, then that can help offset a lot of the costs, and then she would do like discounted membership. So that was another conversation that was had. So
That's interesting.
those were the only things. But right now it's somebody came at the council meeting, you heard it, Nate.
Yeah,
where
I was
they
trying to
said
remember.
pull the sprinklers or,
Yeah.
stuff like that, so.
Also, I think they said she was asking for like a couple $1,000s from every house.
Oh, that much?
Something,
Okay.
something
So
like
if
that. I
you-
don't
so a few
remember the
thousand
exact
from
number,
every-
but
okay,
it was
that's-
enough they were shocked.
That ain't
Yeah.
gonna happen.
So,
It was
yeah,
enough they felt
nobody's
it was
gonna pay that
unreasonable.
much, like, unless they're gonna be a shareholder.
Yeah.
Unless
Which
they're
is
gonna be a
another idea.
shareholder for the major, so.
Okay. Okay, what is your stance on lockdowns and masks?
I'm definitely opposed to both, and that's I'm rarely in favor of mandating. We had an issue where the city was even potentially, Mr. White knows about this too, was looking at incentivizing vaccines, and I'm against that as well. Like me personally, I don't have a vaccine, I don't want it, but you shouldn't have to incentivize somebody to get a vaccine. If they want it, cool. If they don't, cool. That's their personal preference. But I don't think we need to incentivize or mandate anything. So
Yeah, I just saw the Washington Post had a headline of the monkeypox now is going to be a huge crisis.
yeah,
So,
not,
got that to look
not for
forward to.
Palm Bay and not for Florida. So
Yes.
so
Okay. Do you think there's systemic racism in Palm Bay?
no. If there was, I wouldn't be a councilman.
Solid
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'll elaborate a little bit. Is there still racism here and there? Yes. You know, just like anything. You have people who share different ideals over here, over there. But in regards to stopping somebody from being successful, the only person stopping them from being successful is themselves.
Amen.
So, you know, I so that question right there, I'm smiling and laughing about it because like, you know, you wouldn't have, you know, the one Colombian restaurant right there. Oh, I can't think of the name of it. It's in the Winn-Dixie Plaza. It's like La Estancia. There's so many different minority successful businesses. That wouldn't be the case if, you know, systemic racism was here. So that's what I'm saying. All that to say, you know, Palm Bay, we've got a good thing. We're very diverse and we support one another no matter what, you know, religion or color or whatever the case may be. So the rest of the country needs to get in line with us. So
Exactly. What is the purpose of government?
to serve.
Good
To
answer.
serve, yeah.
Do you support BLM and what do you think their mission statement is or their purpose?
No, I don't support BLM.
No.
I've even had conversations with my sister because she's in Atlanta. It's big over there. Because you even have the, I don't know if it's the owner or one of the top women in there.
Yes.
Founder utilized donations to purchase, was it a mansion?
Multiple mansions.
Multiple mansions. Yeah, no, that's not what it's supposed to be for. Like, if anything, like one, I don't support the movement, but on the other end, if you are going to accept donations, then utilize it to, you know, incentivize minority kids and, you know, children to want to become police officers. Like, you know, to be a part of the solution instead of the problem. Like, to, you know, encourage them to want to, you know, police their own community. If that's what
Do you think that's part of their purpose? What do you think their purpose is? Do you know?
to disrupt.
Oh.
Well, that's my opinion. I'm
That's
sorry.
right. No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's what we're asking.
Yeah. So, you'll never catch me with one of those shirts or saying hashtag BLM or anything. So
Okay.
you can look through my social media and all that. You won't see any of that on mine. So
Do you accept donations from businesses and organizations that want to do business with the city?
yes, and that's public record. I've gotten donations from previous people who've done business with the city, possible future, but it doesn't affect my ability to govern because I've gotten donations from residents that wanted me to vote against one item or residents that want me to vote this way on an item, but that doesn't affect my decision on the matter. I looked at, you know, is this feasible? Is this beneficial for the city? Not for a developer, not for one specific resident, but for the city as a whole.
Okay. Justin Zoltowski, a former city employee and whistleblower, asked for some council members' resignations due to him not being protected as he was told he would be. How are these accusations that Justin presented at the city hall meeting being addressed?
So I would have to follow up because that was a personal, he specifically called on Mayor Medina, cause I guess, I don't know, I'll have to look into it, cause I think they had a private meeting with Mayor Medina and the city manager,
Before
and
or
the city
after?
attorney.
Before or after? When he said that?
Well, so I'm going back, based off what I heard him say at the meeting, he was like, Mayor, I spoke to you, city
Previous,
manager, I spoke
okay.
to you. So I'm thinking I'll have to go to the city manager and ask her what, because I leaned over to her and even said like, hey, what is this about? She was like, I'll have to address you later. So I'll have to follow up with her.
Okay.
I can get your answer on that. Because it was
He-
myself and Councilman Bailey that put, the whistleblower, ordinance together for that reason, to protect people. So if people aren't being protected, then we need to look at two things.
Also,
Why?
you helped with the ordinance
Yes,
then?
ma'am.
Okay.
Because previously in the past, from what I was hearing from staff, like they had nobody really to go to. They would go to HR, but HR operates under the city manager. So it's kind of like having a police investigation done by the police department instead of internal affairs. You want to make sure that there's somebody overseeing it, that it might not screw the decision. So-
Do you think it's part of, and I don't know this,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I'm just asking, this is just my own personal question now based on what you just said. So he made a lot of accusations. Is that something that you're supposed to look into, you personally, as being a councilman? Or
Not
does
me
that get
personally.
referred?
That was supposed to go before the whistleblower committee. So
Okay, so there's a committee set up?
yes, ma'am. So.
Okay,
And I haven't seen, because once the investigation is completed, then that's when it's supposed to go before council. But I haven't received that yet.
so is there an investigation going on right now?
Because for another purpose, we don't want council members messing up the system as well. So we're supposed to stay in the dark on everything until it's been closed and finalized.
Okay,
so
so
I
you
haven't
think
had-
there is an ongoing
Yeah,
investigation right now?
for him to come up, it has to be. He has to feel like he's not being heard through the investigation process. So he's
Okay.
like, you know what? I'm gonna address my local government directly since I'm not being heard. So I haven't seen anything yet. I'll have to ask the manager, like, hey, because like I said, I can't muddy the process, so I'll have to ask her, like, hey, is the investigation done? Is it almost done? Is it gonna come before us? But I like to be careful not to,
Okay,
you know,
we'll
so-
follow up later.
Yes, ma'am.
And find out what's going on.
because he's come twice, I believe.
Yes,
Twice, yeah.
twice that I've seen.
Twice, same.
Okay. Are you aware of all grant stipulations before voting on them? Does the staff give you that information or do you research it yourself?
The staff, so we have a grant writer position. It was Britta Kellner. She resigned because she found a nicer job, which I don't blame her. But so we have another person who we're looking to hire, and they handle all the grants regarding like working with our state legislators for like the baffle boxes that we just installed, grants for like fire station, for the fire engine that we got a few years ago. So she handles all that, and then it comes before council where we have to approve either matching the grant or just have it approved, giving the mayor the go ahead to sign off to pursue the grant. Like one of the most recent grants brought before us was for mental health for our police officers. And the grant was named after our previous police chief who passed away, Jim Rogers. So we, it's not a matching grant or anything. We just gave the mayor the lead way to sign off for the grant, and then it's going before the federal government. So hopefully we can get some funding. And we got support from Congressman Posey for that grant too. So hopefully we can help our police officers in the mental health aspect too.
I think what she was asking on that was the stipulations for grants.
Okay, okay, sorry, thank you for jumping in. Yeah, no, I don't mind, so I appreciate you keeping me on track. So yes, one, she looks at whether we can qualify or not qualify. If there might be some silver lining or something like, oh, you're gonna have to
Some
commit.
nefarious crap.
Yeah, you're gonna have to commit to this or that, because there's grants that we could apply for that I know we haven't because of that reason. So all the, or if like you might have to pay the grant, which then it becomes a loan 5 years down the line. So all that stuff she goes through, and then it comes before city council and city manager.
So there's no guidelines on grant writing, it could say anything.
I'm saying a grant could say anything, but whether or not we apply, she uses her discretion, you know, goes through everything, see if it, you know, if there's any silver lining or something, like a gotcha moment. And then if there's not, then she feels comfortable to bring it before city council for us to vote on it.
Do you guys also do research into that, or do you just kinda take what she says?
So when, so if you look at the agenda for whatever item it is, if you click on whatever grant it is, it gives you a breakdown of the item that we're voting on. So it gives, she'll give her brief summary on the agenda item, but then if you click on it, it gives like the full breakdown of everything, so anybody can look at it.
On the city website, they have the PDF agenda or the online agenda. You click the online.
That's
Yes.
where we find a lot
Yeah,
of
the
things.
online
Yes,
agenda, that's where you get the
exactly.
links.
You
Thank you.
guys
Yeah.
actually
It makes it a lot,
research.
Yes.
it makes it a lot easier.
Okay.
Because the PDF one, to his point, you said it one time, he's like, this agenda is like 500 pages. But if you do the online agenda, you don't have to, oh my goodness. It used to be like that where you have to scroll just to find one agenda item. But luckily it's online, so you can just find the grant item or voting on, you know, a gas station, whatever the case may be, and click that item and you get a breakdown of it. So it's a lot more efficient now than it once was.
Do we have enough police?
Can we
fire-
wait until after the questions? That's okay.
No, but I'll elaborate on that later.
Okay.
No, the answer, quick answer is no.
That- I'm not sure, that could be one of my questions.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
No, oh no, you're
That's
gonna
not
be
your
punished
fault.
now. You spoke out of turn. Okay, so along these lines, are you aware that the DOJ COPS grant states that officers are not allowed to contact ICE or immigration when a crime is committed by an illegal alien?
So my understanding, that's not correct.
That's not correct?
Because I remember that was brought up at a council meeting. Our chief can contact ICE in regards to,
They can?
yeah, and they
Okay.
have. So that's, unless that's new. I'll have to double check, but when we talked about it before with Chief Moya, the previous chief, they've had incidents where they've had to, so.
Okay.
So that's new to me. I can you know, what they say,
Lori, do you
measure twice, cut once.
I was the one who brought it before the council.
And I thought Chief Moya spoke on it.
Chief
where-
Moya was not right. It was right online, and I provided that information to Mayor Medina just recently.
Okay, I didn't get it yet, ma'am, I'm sorry. So-
Yeah, I didn't have my wits about me enough to show like I did that presentation, the BLM thing. I just didn't have it with me to present it
Okay.
there, but it was part of the grant. I pulled it right offline, so.
So I went off the word of my chief, because he told, and she was there, he told me there wasn't an issue. So I went off that word right there, so.
But okay, my point is that you didn't know about it. That's my point. And so anybody could have looked that up and known it. That's my point.
Yes,
That-
but also, you know, at the same point, I would think we can trust in our police, you know, and our chief to, you know, because they're the ones
No,
on
no,
the
no, I'm
street.
saying during the grant process.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm saying the person
Okay.
who wrote, gave you the grant or
That
whatever.
reviewed the grant.
Yeah.
Didn't pick up
Okay.
on that.
But
or-
that's just an
percent.
example of, there are things that,
Well,
people aren't aware of that
Okay.
are stipulations.
Yes,
that's
ma'am,
all.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're just curious, how do you guys get your information?
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
this is stuff you need to know,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying, because you rely on people to
Yeah,
give you
because she
truth.
brought it up, and then we called him right up, and he said no. So I'm like, okay, all right.
But I think if you saw something, you could communicate with him and he'd listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lori has.
Yeah.
Lori
Yeah,
has.
because she,
The mayor.
I hate to go on a tangent, she brought it up in regards to Vision Zero.
Yeah.
A while ago, and that's the item where she brought it to my attention, we pulled it, we changed it, we in fact got feedback from her.
Yeah, you
You know,
took
so-
my resolution and put it in,
You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say, I'm not gonna act like I have all the answers or solutions, but I'm open to communicate with whoever.
You'll listen.
Yes, sir.
That's the key.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Palm Bay citizens are consistently saying that development is going too fast, and they're not happy with rezoning and the lack of police and fire services to keep up with the growth.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, and how will you address these issues?
So, right now, we're in the middle of a comprehensive plan update. It's been over 20 years since we've had one. You're supposed to have one every so often. But, okay, sorry. Comprehensive plan, let me break that down first.
Okay.
So comprehensive plan is the makeup of the whole city. So like, this area might be residential, this area might be multifamily, meaning condos, townhomes, apartments. This area might be industrial, this area might be, one house per 5 acres. This one might be one house per 1 acre. This, things of that nature. This area's, residential, commercial. This area's highway, commercial. So it's a makeup of the whole city. So that comprehensive plan hadn't been updated in over 20 years. Yeah. So back in 2019, I was only a few months in as a councilman, and all the other council members had been there for like 4 or 8 years. And I brought it up just kind of curiously, like, hey, why haven't we updated the comprehensive plan? And they all looked at each other like, I don't know. I was like, don't you think it's time to update it? So 2019, that started the process to update the comprehensive plan. And then what that was supposed to do and what it's going to do is update areas so that, there might be an area on Malabar that should be commercial as opposed to residential, like right off of Malabar or Babcock. So it helps update the zoning of all these different areas so we don't have, developers wanting to jump right here or jump right there. So we don't have to worry about spot zoning like with Cricket Apartments. I don't know if some of y'all are aware of that. They were trying to put apartments way back in the Cricket Drive area twice, I believe, and we shot it down. 3 times? Okay, I remember twice for me. It might have been one before I was on, but we shot it down. But it's to prevent, trying to do the spot zoning quick, patchwork. So in doing that, the comprehensive plan is going to finally, here in 2022, be completed at the end of the month.
Okay.
I mean, not the end of the month, end of December.
Okay.
So with that being said, with the information brought to us by our police, by our fire, public works in regards to infrastructure, and just residents in regards to traffic, we were looking at doing a moratorium, meaning a moratorium trying to slow down development in the city. And it was brought before council, last council meeting, for us to do it. Staff had brought up a draft for us to do it, and it didn't go the way I thought it would go, because it was 3 council members weren't for it, 2 were against it. I mean, 3 weren't for it, 2 were for it. Me and another council member were for it, but I think the reason why we didn't get unanimous approval for it was there was some confusion on what the moratorium would affect. Because some people were reaching out thinking it will stop anybody who wants to build a house in Palm Bay from building a house in Palm Bay, which that wasn't the case. So right now, I'm working with our city attorney to draft clear language on what it is going to do. Like, so that way, a family from Idaho wants to come here and just buy a lot and build, they're fine. But if you're looking to do like a big PUD, planned unit development of like 300 homes or whatever, we're putting a hold on that, until we update the comprehensive plan. So that way you don't try to, do 300 homes in the Majors Golf Course or somewhere else. Like, we want it to make sense. So we're not, and I've had conversations with the realtors and some of these builders, because they're like, you're affecting our business, blah, blah, blah. We're just putting a slow down on what's going on in Palm Bay so we can update and improve our police and fire and improve our roads and improve these other areas before we just, because we're going to grow regardless. We're only 40% built out. Everybody likes Florida over any other state right now because we're open for business. So, you know what I'm saying? So I really think we're going to grow regardless, but we just want to grow smarter. So that's going to come before the Planning and Zoning Board for them to vote for the moratorium. And if they do approve it, then it comes before council to vote just for a temporary pause on big major developments. So I know that was a long, I had to give you the history of it, that's all.
That's great. Okay, so while we're discussing that, a discussion we were having before you walked in was about the location of the Daily Bread. That's a hot topic.
Yes.
What's it looking like now?
So the Daily Bread, the city of Palm Bay received almost like $19 million for the American Rescue Plan Act. This was, what happened, the federal government came up with $3 trillion, keyword came up with $3 trillion, and they, allocated it to different cities. So Melbourne got their share, Palm Bay got our share, and we're allowed to only use the funds for certain specific items. So we utilized it for like body cameras, cybersecurity, building a new building to expand our services. But another option we also were able to do is allocate $5 million towards affordable housing. So in doing that, we received several applications from people who were interested in doing something for affordable housing, one of them being Daily Bread. There were several other applications, but the one that stuck out the most was Daily Bread because Mayor Paul Alfrey went on Florida Today saying he wants to move Daily Bread from Melbourne to Palm Bay, I believe, right? Okay, so that was a red flag, and for me it was a red flag too because it came out in the news, and then the following week he came to the council meeting and spoke on it. So I told Councilman Felix spoke first, but we were like, hey, you should have came to us first to have conversation before going to the news about it. So that's where it is at right now. They're in the process of looking at all the applications. We're gonna have a special council meeting to discuss the different applicants and what they want their funding for within the next month or so. So it is gonna come before council, whether we look at Daily Bread, The Source, and several others, like 15 applicants, I believe. But it's gonna come before city council to decide who to support, so.
Okay.
So, does that?
So Daily Bread might not even be considered?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes ma'am, we
It's
ultimately
in the
decide.
mix, but it could drop out?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes ma'am.
All right, I got a hard question for you.
All right.
I'll save it for last.
Yes ma'am.
Okay? Because as a group, we wanna know what the truth is behind it, because we know it's gonna come up in,
I already know where
you already
Go
know
ahead.
what it is.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so not too long ago, a postcard and a text message went out to a lot of the Palm Bay citizens stating that you were arrested.
Mhm.
And the reason we're asking is because we want you to clarify the facts for us. And that we'll know what the truth is, especially with the elections coming up.
Yes ma'am. All right, thank you. So I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but I'll still, for what she's referring to, in 2015, I was arrested, April 2015, I was arrested. And it was for transfer, I'm trying to get the exact name right, transfer of harmful material to a minor. Okay, so what had happened was that there was this young lady who I was working as a substitute teacher, but I was working outside I had several different jobs. I was working 3 jobs at the same time. But I met the young lady outside of school. Regardless of what you'll see on social media, I met the young lady outside of school, and it wasn't until I became a substitute teacher at the school that I realized what was going on. Like, okay, she's in my class, like this is an issue. Every communication was cut off. Follow up, and this was back in October 2014. So fast forward, April 2015, I get a knock on my door from a detective. Hey, we're the Palm Bay Police Department. We want to hear, we want to talk to you, ask some questions. I'm like, okay. I'm not thinking nothing of it. 7-8 months later, I talked to them and shared, hey, this is what happened. This is what it was. But what, we cut off communication. Everything's good. I admitted, and spoke to them, so everything wasn't good. So I was arrested on the spot, got out the next day, got an attorney. Fast forward, what had happened was the young lady was talking to a friend or something about me. Mom overheard, thought it was something crazy, reported it. Police came to talk to me about it. I talked to them, got arrested. Fast forward, the mom found out what really happened. The mom personally wrote a letter to the state attorney's office, and that's what prompted. I didn't speak to the mom or anything. The mom wrote a letter to the state attorney. The state attorney dropped the charge, and then it was expunged. So I never even went to court or anything on this issue. That's why it's kind of, it kind of, it ticks me off a little bit, because even the young ladies even reached out to me saying, hey, like, I'm willing to speak up on this because this is wrong, this is not what happened. But she's not in politics, because I know personally, for sure, without a doubt, as soon as she speaks up, no matter what she says, it's not going to be good enough. And she's married with a family, and it's going to put a target on her, and that's not fair to her. Because, you know, we move on, we go forward. She's not an elected official. So that's why I explain to anybody I talk to, and I just prefer to keep other people out of it so they can live their lives. She has kids and family. It's not for her to deal with. But it's what we're dealing with. When you have to use, you know, slander and attacks like that instead of speaking on policy, to me that speaks louder than anything. You know, so I hope I've clarified.
What were your ages, the both of you, when this happened?
17 and 23. So.
It'd be a little different if you were 30. And
Yeah, I'm 30 now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, let me ask you about one other thing that we recently heard about.
Okay.
Did you have some kind of a altercation with Randy Fine at a dancing event? Did that happen recently?
I was just asking him for a dance. I'm just playing. I'm playing.
You were desperate.
I'm playing. No, and I'll talk on that as well. I was walking with the gentleman trying to find my seat because that place was packed, and we're walking, and then I see him, and I'm like, you know what? It's a prime opportunity to talk to him, because in the past I've gone to his office and he kicked me out of his office, had me escorted out of his office, and any other time I tried to communicate with him, I couldn't. So I thought, here's a prime opportunity to talk to him and just address him about some of the stuff going on. So we had a conversation. He walked away. We kept having the conversation, and then that was it. So.
Was it heated? A little heated conversation?
I didn't think it was.
Oh, okay.
You know, and my thing, it was a room full of Brevard County's finest and Sheriff Ivey. So if at any moment, if it was contentious or anything, 911 help, you know, but we walked away, went to our seats, and went about the night. So it wasn't until 2 days later, we filed a police report. So I think that speaks for itself. You know, but and I said it to Fleur today, I never threatened him. I don't threaten.
Can you even talk about what you guys were talking about?
I asked them like about the robotext and all this stuff, and then the robotext happened the day before. I asked them about it that day, and then 3 days later the mailer came out. So, you know, so I'm not going to assume, but you can also look at the reports, his campaign reports of $17,000 spent here on this date and $3,000 spent on another date, and it lined up perfectly with what was going on with the mass texts that were sent, as well as the mailers. So
it was all related.
yeah, yes, ma'am.
All right, well, that's all the questions I have. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so now, anybody, we're gonna need you to use the microphone though, because,
Well, I can pass it to her.
oh, okay, are you sure?
I'm just curious why he's singling you out.
So-
What happened to the
All right, so I'll give a brief history. So that's my campaign manager right there now, Keely. But my former campaign manager, who's also my cousin, Robert Burns. Him and Robert have butted heads multiple times on items, on just both political items and personal things. So being that my cousin, he can't really affect, because he's retired military, so he can't really affect him. I'm the next target. You know, so it's, you know, so that's how I see it. And he's even said that to me multiple times, like, you need to get your cousin in check, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I've talked to my cousin, like, hey, you need to chill, man. I'm trying to get funding for Palm Bay. I'm trying to get this done. But, you know, no one can control one man, you know. You know, he has to, my cousin's gonna have to answer for the things he's done. Mr. Fine's gonna have to answer for the things he's done. But, right, you know, we're talking about this, but I'm focused on working with y'all, working with whoever. Even Mr. White, I know he wants what's best for the city too. We might see it differently, and we have we have, and we've made it clear about it. But you know, we stick to policy and not getting personal at all. You know, and that's how it's supposed to be. So, I say all that just to.
Well, you
know.
shouldn't agree on everything.
Yeah,
That wouldn't be right.
Yeah,
That wouldn't be
yeah,
right.
you're right. You're right. You're right.
You have to get different viewpoints.
You're right. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, on the majors. The majors is owned by one person,
Yes, ma'am.
but
Yes,
there's
sir.
150 some odd houses out there that are all neighbors to that piece of property. So how many of those neighbors, is it the majority rules? I mean, you're never gonna get them all to agree on what to change, that they would agree on a change
Yeah.
to that piece of property. So what's the process
So-
for that to happen?
The residents that and Mr. White's seen this too. The residents that do speak share that they wanted to stay the same future land use, 5 houses per acre. That's how they want to stay it. So they're like, hey, we understand it might not.
The other way.
1 house per 5 acres.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, 1 house per 5 acres. So they understand like, hey, if the golf course is closed, we get it, but 300 houses here is not feasible. But what we can digest and be comfortable with is 1 house per 5 acres. So that's been the dialogue and conversations I've had with people from that community. As of,
But what I'm saying is it majority rules, or is it comes down to a vote? Or,
no,
you know,
well, so it
Change.
comes down to the council voting. So just like, you know, so many people showed up to the planning and zoning sharing, you know, their disapproval for the rezoning of the majors. It was voted down. It didn't make it before council, but I'm pretty confident it would have been voted down if it did make it before council. But with saying that, the residents just voiced their opinions, but the more residents that voice their opinions, the stronger the argument is to answer your question. So if 100 of them share their disapproval for, you know, rezoning, as opposed to just 5 people showing up, that speaks louder. Does that help, sir?
Somewhat, but there's 5 on the council,
Yes, sir.
so it's majority of the council that would rule on that.
Yes, 3-2 vote.
Okay.
3-2 vote yes or 3-2 vote no. So that's where it's just important, just like, and I own it, just like with a special election. I was looking to appoint originally, but the amount of emails and the dialogue and the conversations I've had, I'm like, okay, like this many people want this, all right, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to reach out to your council and talk to them. So.
You're not gonna please everybody.
Yeah, and you're not, because still voting that way, I still didn't please everybody. Some people are saying, oh, he flipped the switch. Like, I'm like, you're not gonna ever win. You're not all the time, but I think I did what was right. The majority of the people that I spoke with said, we want the special election. All right, and we had it, so.
Okay, I have a question about the campaign funding. So, I know you said that you take funding from companies and builders and all that. Why do you need to take that money? Why do you need that money? I mean, I don't understand. So what does that do for you, in other words?
So campaign funding is, to purchase shirts, to get flyers, mail pieces, advertise, so you can get the name out of who's running or whatever to the community. There's over 80,000 voters in Palm Bay, and you're not going to do it with $100, $200. So
Okay, so I mean, I get that, but you've been on the council for how long?
almost 4 years now.
Okay, so why do you need $40-something thousand in campaign funds? I mean, first of all, you're there, you're doing a good job. So, and your only opposition is this nice guy here. I mean, it just seems excessive to me, and so I think that more and more, maybe you don't realize that just regular people are running and they don't have that kind of money, and so it's just, I know for me, I question that kind of money coming from businesses and corporations and stuff like that, because in the past, you know yourself that it's a pay-for-play kind of thing. And I think the country is making a transition away from those types of things, and so that's why I'm asking.
Okay, I get what you're asking, and I look at it from a different perspective. In the last campaign, I raised like almost 30,000, but it was, I don't say on the backs, it was from all the residents donating. So me, I look at it as a different point of perspective, you know, where we're in the possible, well, it's not, it's definitely gonna happen, a possible recession. You know, instead of taking money from, you know, residents that, you know, are, you know, I don't wanna say hurting, are, you know, working towards trying to find, you know, finance and look at what they can spend on. These guys have the money clearly, and it is not for any ill intent. But I'd rather take from them and still just educate everybody than, you know, $100 can be a lot for somebody donating. It's a lot for me to donate, but I'll do it. But that's the perspective I'm looking at it from. It's not to, you know, appease one person or another, because I have people, like, there's people on that donors list that want my head right now because of the moratorium. Because, to that point.
Can they get their money back?
If they want it, if they'll make them feel better, they can have it. But, you know,
So are you
but I'm
not
saying, like,
accepting donations from regular people? 'Cause
no,
then-
I'm accepting it from
Okay.
everybody.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, so I've had regular people donate too. I post the link, and whoever donates, donates. You know, I posted, hey, donate to, click the
Well,
link to donate.
I have not seen any of your campaign money being spent, so that's why I'm asking the question. So in other words, I don't see anything about Kenny Johnson anywhere unless I go to the city hall. Or if I'm online and see
Yes,
some
ma'am.
article about you harassing people at dance shows. So I'm just saying, you know, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why it's a question for me.
Yeah.
Because
Well-
if I saw you putting all this really nice, expensive stuff out, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's where he's spending it.
And I will be honest, like, and I'll say it in front of Mr. White, like, I don't want to put my signs right next to a judge. Like, all the judge signs are out too, and he knows it. Like, we don't want to, wait, is Nathan White and Kenny Johnson running for judge? So stuff like that, I don't want to get confused with the judge races or the school board races. So that's also a reason right there.
I was thinking the same thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Can I ask what religion you are?
Christian, not like non-denominational. I go to Truth Revealed Ministries. It's if you go down Palm Bay Road, that curve. They bought the old Space Coast Credit Union, but it got burned down in a fire last year.
Oh.
But the church is right across the street. So that's why I've been going.
Someone who knows where their church is.
There you go.
So they have virtual services and everything. So you can tune in virtually or in person. Yeah. So
I have a question.
yes, sir.
It's about the majors again. I've heard that the state is getting involved in the majors and that they're pushing towards low-income housing.
This is the first I've heard about. I think that was just he say she say. This is the first I'm hearing that, sir. But I definitely don't see that happening there. Do you know who from the state they said? or-
No, but I've read it that the state is going to wants to get involved in it and push the city of Palm Bay to put low-income housing in the majors.
As much as I'm for, you know, diverse housing, one, that's not the place to do it.
Exactly.
You know, but I wouldn't be like, we would have heard something about that. Like,
You guys haven't heard anything about
no,
that?
no,
Okay.
sir.
But
I
you
can still
would
double-
shoot that down though real
yeah,
fast, right?
I'll still double check
Okay.
with our city manager, and I can get back to whoever on it, because I have a few things I have to get back to y'all on. But I don't see that. We've never heard that in the council meeting. I haven't heard that in
Okay.
the halls of city. So no.
All right.
So are you against the daily bread being here?
So I also have to be impartial right now. I have to see all the different applications and make my decision then.
So you're gonna stick it in my backyard, aren't you?
How big is your
I
backyard?
didn't say that either, sir. I didn't say that either.
I'm confused on what the daily bread has to do with affordable housing.
So, what they said they want to do is, what did he come? He said he wanted to build a big, like, facility. He came before council meeting and spoke a while ago. Him and Paul Alfrey, him and Mayor Alfrey spoke at the same time. said they wanted to build a big facility that's gonna have job training, for them to live on site, and a few other things.
So it's not just a feeding location.
Yeah, he's talking about a big mass facility for job training. There's a few other things. I'm missing some, but this was like almost a year ago that he talked about it. But still, like, what I can say, I know that moving it would also move the population as well.
Yep.
I know that for a fact. So I could say that, but I need to reserve my comments and what I do say carefully. So, but we will be voting on it, and I think council sees it the same way as well, that it will move the population.
So are those things part of the comprehensive plan? So do you have like a list of what's included for types of zoning for the comprehensive plan? Would that be like affordable housing also?
Yes.
Because everybody wants it, but they don't want it in their yard, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So yes, and affordable housing doesn't also have to necessarily be low income housing.
Right.
You know, that you have different ways of getting it done, like workforce housing. That's another avenue that you can take as well. But all that is included in regards to the comprehensive plan. We've had workshops. We're gonna have more workshops all the way up to December, just to get further feedback from people. So I hope that helps.
So I took part in the first
round.
Yeah,
Okay.
not all of them because I couldn't make it, but I did go. So there's gonna be a whole nother round of that, is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
well, I don't know if it's gonna be that many meetings because there was a lot before, but I know we're gonna have like 1 or 2 coming up in
Okay.
regards to it's called Vision 2040. So
Oh, okay.
So did Melbourne kick him out or something, or what's?
my understanding, listening to people, is that's downtown Melbourne. They don't want it downtown Melbourne where they're building Hotel Melbourne, which I understand it. I get it.
They've been saying that forever.
You know,
It started down there.
So you have Hotel Melby and all these other things they're trying to build there, but then you look over the balcony, you might see trash and debris and stuff like that. So they're trying to clean up the area, but not on our backs. Palm Bay's been a laughing joke for too often. We've been like the redheaded stepchild of Melbourne for too long, and so I think we have an opportunity to do what's right and make sure we take care of our city and keep it clean.
Have y'all noticed that the homeless that live down on the river have moved farther down towards Palm Bay now? Melbourne has run them from all the way up from where the ice cream place was, all the way down to Palm Bay now.
Okay, that
I fished the river and
Yes,
I
sir. You
watched
see them more?
They moved.
I will say I've seen them at Castaway Point sometimes when I'm down there.
Yes.
So that's like a prime location where I've seen them.
But Melbourne has moved them. It's
Okay,
got
kinda
the
like
police
chasing
department
them out.
moving them
Okay.
down farther to us.
So if our police department isn't already aware, I'll bring it up.
Yes.
But I'm sure they probably are aware. But
Oh,
I'll
I mean,
still-
their campsites are big.
Okay.
They're
and
big.
that's another thing where we gotta be careful too with development. Because I've seen some things come before us where we were gonna develop something, there's homeless camps within the property. So if you do develop that, they gotta move somewhere else, or are they gonna move either to another woods, or are they gonna come out into the public, So, yeah, okay, I'll have to look
Yeah, but
into
look into that.
Yeah,
because
I've seen it in
they're-
Castaway Point, so I know you're,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just down there where John Rhodes.
yep,
Yeah, but no, they're farther down now. They're getting
Okay.
farther down.
Closer and closer. Okay. all right, thank you.
The millage rate.
Yeah, we talked about that too, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned there had been a grant to get body cams for the police.
Yes,
Were there any strings attached to that grant that you know of?
so for that one, I know for a fact, no, because that was the American Rescue Plan Act funding, which is tied to I said 5 million for affordable housing, so for that, no. The only hurdle we'll have to get over, we're using the grant now, but eventually that money runs out, so we're gonna have to use general fund dollars to continue on the program of the body cameras, so that's the only stipulation really there. Like, we're gonna have to go from this quote unquote free money to then using taxpayer dollars to keep funding the body cameras.
Now, I know Sheriff Ivy and the Sheriff's Department have fundraising events for specific
Causes, yes, sir, yeah.
causes.
Yeah.
Has Palm Bay thought about doing something along those lines?
I'll have to look. I believe most of Sheriff Ivy's fundraisers are for more like nonprofit organizations, like to help like animals, things of that. I don't know if they've ever done a fundraiser like, hey, let's raise money to buy more
That's how
body
he
cameras.
funds his department, is what he said to us.
Wait, say it again. I didn't.
That's how he funds. He
Oh,
doesn't take grants or anything like that. That's what he told us. That's how he funds.
Okay, so the fundraisers, he then puts that back into the police
No,
department. or
I
sheriff?
don't think all of them, but yeah.
But some.
Yeah.
I'll have to look
Did
into
you
it
hear
then. I'll have
that
to.
when he spoke?
No, I missed that one.
I'll have to talk to them then and see how they did it to see if we can do it. Because if we can, why not? I think people will support it. You know, or some type of event. You know.
How many shy are we in the police department and fire department of what we're supposed to be?
Man,
A lot.
Yeah, I would say I'm trying to remember. There was a presentation not this past council meeting, but a council meeting before, on where we were and where we need to be. And I'm gonna say estimated plus 50.
I think so.
Plus
For
yeah,
cops.
yeah, for cops plus 50. To get where we need to be, right now.
So we're 50 shy.
Yes.
So how does that compare to the number that we have?
So right now we have 179 sworn officers. It's 170 something, 171, 170. It's in the 170s, I believe. There's a presentation, like how he said, you can click on the online agenda. You can see the exact same presentation.
But
So
that included detectives and everything else. That's not just.
no, the 170 or what the number that he showed was sworn officers. In regards to the full department, like dispatch and everything, it was plus 200, I believe. And you know, and that's another thing he said, while our police officers in regards to pay grade, we're like second after the sheriff's office. Our dispatch is underfunded, and he was like, you know, if I'm losing my dispatchers, we can't even answer the calls. So that's, you know, dispatchers are getting like 15 an hour, but they can get the same at McDonald's and deal with less mess, less stress. Because they have to answer the calls for sometimes suicide or a child drowning or domestic violence. So they deal with some sick mess as well. So we got to make sure they're properly funded too. So, yes, ma'am.
I have another question. We were talking about this amongst us. Funds, when something is there anybody in the city that double checks that if something is to be installed for $100,000, that thing actually gets installed? And so is there somebody who checks those things every time?
So there's multiple, and the slip ups happen everywhere, but there's multiple checks to it. So we have our finance director that, you know, checks all the balances and monies and everything, and then we also have an external auditor that checks to make sure, and gave us an A+ rating this past year. But so for each department, like public works or utilities, you have the supervisor, but then the supervisor has to pass it to the utilities director, and then the utilities director has to pass it to the city manager, and then the city manager brings it before city council. So there's several areas where things are supposed to get caught. Sometimes what we have is a change order where something might have came out for an original cost, but because, you know, a month might happen and the price might rise, we might have to do a change order to add an additional $1,000 to cover the cost of whatever the part is or whatever it is we need to address. So it doesn't happen too often, but it does occur. But regardless, in regards to the financial audit that we've had, we've been in the clear for everything.
So somebody actually goes and physically sees that whatever is installed is supposed to be installed?
Yes.
They
So-
physically.
So especially for like public works, and Frank Watanabe, our public works engineer, spoke about it, like in regards to the roads. If there's something wrong with the roads that a resident either catches or a supervisor catches, we call that company back and they have to fix it. before we can give them the thumbs up on the job. And that's happened just within the past few years of the Go Road program, so.
We good?
Anybody else?
I'll still, if there is any follow-up questions, I'll give you my cell, 321-474-0183. 321-474-0183. If there is any
Thank you.
follow-up questions that you might get in the car, like, dang it,
Why
there's a
didn't I
crack in,
ask
there's a crack in the road right there. I should have asked about, or anything else. But
Thank you.
I remember most of what I need to get back to you on. One of them's for, you said the grant that you mentioned.
Oh, yeah, I can email that stuff to
Okay,
you
all right,
if you
okay.
want.
And there's a few other items I need to get back to you on as well, Mel. And then I can get you, sir, the exact number of police officers we need as opposed to we have.
It just doesn't sound safe, it's all.
Yeah. Luckily, for the most part, our city, we have law-abiding citizens. Like some of the shootings that we've had that they do catch, it's usually people from outside of the city, like from Stuart, Florida, other areas, come in here.
Melbourne.
Causing some mess.
Hey.
So I will say for the most part, we have law-abiding citizens, which makes our police officers' job a lot easier. But if we were in a different area, or where they don't respect the police officers, or aren't law-abiding, we would really have a situation on our hands. So the credit goes to the police department working so hard, but it also goes to the residents for just obeying the law.
So I have another question.
All right.
I'm just thinking about the city hall meetings and how hard it is, you don't get a dialogue, so, I found myself wondering, is Kenny Johnson there during the week, or does he just show up on Thursday? How often does he get his email? Is it worth
Okay.
emailing? Should I call? You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I can speak for myself. Usually, city council agendas come out the Friday before the council meeting. So that Friday around 4:30, 5 o'clock, they publish the agenda for that upcoming Thursday. From there, we can schedule meetings with our city manager or anybody in the department that we might have questions on. So typically, I schedule all my meetings either Monday through Wednesday, sometimes all the way up to Thursday, to try to get answers to a lot of these questions. That's why sometimes I'm quiet during the meetings, because I already know, okay, this is for this, or this is for that, or she already answered my question. So I say yes and no, because it's on us to pursue trying to get answers. That's one thing. Me and Bailey didn't align on a lot, but one thing was he always would be at city. I would always catch him at City Hall, because he was always trying to find out the answer to this or answer to that, or question this or question that. So some council members go about it like that. Some council members ask the question right there on the dais because they just want to know, or they want clarification from the public. So, and last council meeting, we had a council member ask some questions that me and Nathan caught eyes on the topic, like, wait, what? So it's important to do your homework and know what you're talking about before you get up there and speak. So that was a moment where just me and the opponent can even share a good laugh, because you got to know what you're talking about before you speak. So that's all. Yeah, but that was funny, bro. That was funny. I'll speak on it. So it had to do with the charter amendments going onto the ballot. And we're all, as council members, supposed to do our homework and read through it. And sometimes council members don't do that. And if you don't do that, and they try to do it in the public, the camera's always watching, and it can pick up on what you're. Yeah, I think you get what I'm saying. So I'll stop.
So are you pretty available then? Is that what I?
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Do you prefer an email or phone call, or does it matter? Or?
Either is fine. Emails are easier for me.
Okay.
Because sometimes
I don't know if you get too many and then you just won't get to it, or.
It was tough, but with the Majors Golf Course, I tried my best to get back to everybody. I really did. I know I didn't get back to everybody, but I tried my best. It was over 300 emails for the Majors Golf Course alone. So I really did try, But, email's fine, you know, call is fine. Email's easier, because one, I think it's easier, because one, it's a public record of what you say and what I say. And two, phone call, I might be busy at the moment, but email, I'm definitely gonna see that eventually and get back to you, so.
Okay, I'm gonna be posting this video, so do you want me to remove the part where you give out your cell phone number?
No, that's fine.
Are you sure? Cause I don't know who will see it. Could be anybody.
It's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
Okay.
I'd say I'd vote for you. Just from hearing from you.
Yeah, well, and we're still, yeah, we still have another candidate as well, and like I said,
Here's his candidate.
Yeah.
He's gonna speak at our meeting too.
yeah, so he's gonna speak next, so
Right here.
he might,
Not today.
You might hear something that appeases you more that he says, or vice versa, but one thing I can say, Nathan, we've always been cordial and respectful to one another.
Good.
And in my running in previous council, in 2018, I didn't get that. I didn't get that from the other party. So that alone I appreciate. So that's how it's supposed to be run. So
I think I think we all know who really decides who does and who doesn't, right?
oh wait, who wants to be cordial, who doesn't? Yeah. It's a personal choice. Wait, I'm confused.
I just have one more, I have more. I'm curious how your working relationship is with the other members on the council. If you wanna talk about that
Yeah, I
at
get
all.
along. The really only issue, I get along with each one of them. The only issue was the most recent with the flag, the awarding of the flag to Mr. Joseph Mayo. That was like the only issue, and even then.
What was your issue exactly, now that you're saying that?
And I said, then I don't think that was the right decision to make to award him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it publicly, like in regards to looking at the city as a whole, I don't see that was a smart decision. I understand the healing process and everything. And I said it right to the mayor while sitting right next to him. I understand the healing process and everything, but I don't think that was the platform to do it. Because I didn't even know the gentleman was living here in Palm Bay. He was living his life and moving forward and everything, and then to bring him on stage publicly, you know, that I don't think that was the best decision for anybody in that case. So.
Did you agree with them taking the flag back away from him?
So and I voted in favor of it, and I've heard some veterans say that was the right thing to do. I've heard some say that was the wrong thing to do.
I'm just asking you
Yeah.
how you felt about
I
it.
voted in favor of taking it back. So that was public. That's public too. So, but and even then, in disagreeing, like I've never, even with the past council, I've never been disrespectful or anything. Even if we disagree, I got along with every one of them. Like I said, me and Bailey were on different sides of the fence on a lot of stuff. Some stuff we were on the same side, but a lot of stuff we weren't. But it was never an issue, you know, inside the council chambers and outside the council chambers. So.
You were honorably discharged, right?
No, that was my father who was in the military and he retired after. Yeah, but he, yes, honorably discharged after 22 years. So, but that was him. So, I saw how much he made us travel. I did not want to join the military. I'm like, I'm good. He did it for me. So, but thank you, everyone. Like I said, you can follow up with anything, any questions, anytime. I'll get back to you. And thank you for the opportunities.
Well, thank you for speaking.